Yes!
As a gamer parent, having an opportunity to game with your kids is something that you look forward to more than anything. This applies even more if you grew up in the 90s, and if you did, it's likely that you were or still are a Pokemon fan. Now, when Pokemon released back in the 90s, it took the entire world by storm and was literally everywhere, and 25 years later, it's still going strong. But at this day and age, if you were born in or grew up in the 90s and currently have young children of your own, the thought of introducing them to gaming, or more specifically Pokemon, has crossed your mind at least once or twice. However, the main problem might be that you don't know where to start, and that's 100% understandable because this is definitely the most difficult step. On top of that, despite its ongoing popularity and success, Pokemon isn't all the rage like it was in the 90s and early 2000s, which means that it isn't seen everywhere and or shoved in your face like it was 20 plus years ago. So to some extent, you would have to go somewhat out of your way in order to properly introduce your kids to the franchise. But put your words to the side, because I got some suggestions that have made introducing the Pokemon universe to your little ones very, very simple. So with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get it in. First things first, let's talk about the Pokemon games. Now, the moment that you decide that it's time to introduce your kids to the Pokemon games, you'll first have to understand where their level of comprehension lies. I personally feel that a child has a decent enough understanding to play the Pokemon games around 6 or 7 years old at the lowest. Now, when the Pokemon games first came out, I was about 7 years old, and for the most part, I was able to understand what was going on pretty well and didn't have anybody to teach me anything about the games. But don't worry, because all of the suggestions here will be kid-friendly and or with smaller learning curves. Nowadays, smartphones, iPads, and tablets in general have mostly replaced home and handheld video game consoles in most, if not all, modern day households. However, that's not an issue at all because the majority of the core series Pokemon games are available on Nintendo's handheld consoles, most specifically the classic DS and the 3DS. Now, it's not terribly difficult to find either one of these online, and you will most likely find them on sites such as eBay and Mercari for some pretty decent prices. But act quickly because Nintendo ceased production of the 3DS family of consoles back in September of 2020, I believe. So it'll be pretty difficult to find one brand new in an unopened box. Now, handheld gaming is probably the best route to take when introducing a young child to gaming because tablets or smartphones that kids usually play with nowadays are vaguely reminiscent of handheld gaming. I said that it's not terribly difficult to find a DS or a 3DS console, but you will have a lot more of a difficult time getting your hands on a DS than you will a 3DS, and it's mostly due to how old the DS is. The DS came out in 2004, while its successor, the 3DS, came out in 2011, so it's pretty obvious which one you will want to go with. Now, the 3DS being newer means that it has better hardware, graphical output, and backwards compatibility, so you will be able to play old DS games on your 3DS anyways. Now, after you've gotten a hold of a 3DS, your next step is to find out what Pokemon game you'd like your kid to start off with. Pokemon is currently in its 8th generation, and when it comes to the core series games, generations 4 through 7 are playable on the 3DS. Generations 4 through 6 are for the DS, and generations 6 and 7 are for the 3DS. The Gen 4 games consist of Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Heart Gold, and Soul Silver versions, Black, White, Black 2, and White 2 for Gen 5, X, Y, Omega Ruby, and Alpha Sapphire for Gen 6, and Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, and Ultra Moon for Gen 7. The final core series games to be released in the 7th generation were Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, but these titles are exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. The core series entry into the 8th generation was kicked off by the release of Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield versions, and these are also Nintendo Switch exclusive, but we'll talk about the Switch titles later since, as of right now, the 3DS is the topic at hand. I'ma just cut to the chase. I highly advise that you divert your attention away from generations 4 through 6. First off, these games are significantly more complex due to their existence before HMs were no longer being included in the core series games. HMs have always been annoying and add an extra layer of difficulty to the games that your little one might not be able to fully comprehend. Also, the Generation 4 and 5 games are crazy expensive, some of the more expensive ones being up to like $100+ or more. So yeah, just don't even waste your time with any of the DS era Pokemon games unless you're a collector, because these games have accumulated so much vintage. I would not personally ever recommend giving them to a young child. So out of Generation 6 and 7, I would personally recommend Gen 7 over everything else, and I'll explain why. It doesn't matter if you decide to go with Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, or Ultra Moon because they're all pretty much the same. Now, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon have more content, but they don't differ that much from regular Sun and Moon. And when your child finds out the game for the first time, please enable them to experience things for themselves by making their own decision in regards to what starter they want to pick. One of the best experiences of becoming a new Pokemon fan is picking your very first Pokemon, because it's a moment that won't ever be forgotten. Now, for all of us Gen 1 OGs, every last one of us remembers the moment when we picked either Bulbasaur, Squirtle, or Charmander. Even though 90% of y'all pick Charmander, I will always be Team Bulbasaur. But yeah, now the best thing that happened in Gen 7 is the exclusion of HMs. Surf, Cut, Fly, and all the other moves that used to be permanently assigned to your Pokemon's moveset, unless they were deleted by a move tutor or move deleter, whatever he's called, are no longer mandatory in these games. Instead, they've been replaced by Ride Pokemon. Now, Charizard is the Ride Pokemon that replaces Fly, while Lapras is the Ride Pokemon that replaces Surf. This was one of the best things that happened in the Core Series games, and since Sun and Moon came out, HMs haven't seen a light of day in the Core Series games ever again. Your child will have a much easier time navigating around the game because there's a lot of hand-holding in the Generation 7 games. When following the main story, you will notice that a red flag will appear on the map on the 3DS's bottom screen, which indicates the destination you will need to visit next in order to progress the story. This implementation will make it close to impossible to get lost and lose track of where you are in the game. Just make sure you stay in the habit of reminding your kid that they'll always need to follow the flag, and they might be able to game with less assistance as a resultant. Also, I recommend leaving the EXP share on and encouraging them to get into the habit of frequently battling wild Pokemon. Over-leveling shouldn't be a concern because difficulty isn't something a child will be aware of or looking for, and battling is what they'll be spending the majority of the time doing anyways, and it'll get them accustomed to how the battle system works. And before you know it, they'll become very familiar with how type advantages and disadvantages work as well. Of course, Pokemon's typing system is very complex and would even be confusing to an adult, so I recommend using this type chart. This chart lists all 18 types as well as the strengths and weaknesses. Weaknesses on the left and strengths on the right. I have a link to this picture in the description box. The best thing to do is print a copy of this and stick it on your refrigerator or somewhere easily accessible so that they can reference it when they need to. And speaking of type advantages, the 7th generation added extra tidbits of information next to every attack to inform you if an attack is effective, super effective, not very effective, or not effective at all. This will make the process of learning type advantages much easier, but the absolute best way to teach this concept to your kids is to create simple correlations easy for them to remember. For example, fire burns grass, water douses fire, and grass and plants drink water, I guess. MandJTV uploaded a video a few years ago explaining all of the type advantages. So you could reference that video as well, or use it as a template to create a more simplistic way of explaining things that a child could easily understand. I'll be honest when I say the type resistances and weaknesses of dual type Pokemon will be a bit more complex to explain and understand, so I would recommend teaching things in increments and allowing the battle tips to take care of that for the most part. Just tell your kids to refrain from using attacks that say not very effective, for example, because they'll deal less damage unless their Pokemon are at a much higher level than the opposing Pokemon. Also, if you know a thing or two about competitive battling or the end game, please, for the love of goodness, do not try to teach your kid about IVs, EVs, natures, or anything else in regards to that. They're probably entirely too young to understand all of this, and it'll go completely over their heads. Now, this is some very advanced stuff, and the goal is for them to have fun and experience something new and nothing else. Oh, almost forgot to mention that one of the coolest additions to Sun and Moon that your kid might like a lot is Pokemon Refresh. Here, you'll be able to interact with your Pokemon by petting them, feeding them treats, and grooming them as well. It's actually pretty cool. As stated before, most kids growing up in this day and age prefer to entertain themselves with a tablet or their parent's smartphone. This is partially the reason why Pokemon Go was created. Pokemon Go is an excellent way to enter the Pokemon fan base because it's free, available on iOS and Android, and it's incredibly easy to play. All you really gotta do is walk outside and catch Pokemon, and that basically sums it up. You'll quickly find out that going on walks or trips to the park with your kids to play Pokemon Go is an amazing bonding experience. However, the only downside is that if your kid's phone or tablet doesn't have cellular service of its own, you will have to lend them some Wi-Fi for your mobile hotspot, if you have one. If you decided against buying a 3DS for your kid, the next best route is getting a Nintendo Switch. Unfortunately, even after 4 years of its release, purchasing a brand new Nintendo Switch is still pretty difficult. But that's fine because for a young child, the Nintendo Switch Lite is just as good and might even be a better option. As of right now, you can get a brand new Nintendo Switch Lite for about $200 US. That's $100 US less than a regular Switch. The Switch Lite comes with 4 colors consisting of yellow, coral, gray, and turquoise. Now at the time this video is going live, Nintendo just announced that they're going to be releasing an indigo blue color in July, but it's not officially in stores yet. But yeah, with this amount of color selection, I'm pretty sure you will be able to find a color that works. Earlier I said that Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu, as well as Sword and Shield versions, are available for the Nintendo Switch. You'll come to find out that Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu are incredibly kid-friendly, because they're super engaging and super easy to play. The main selling point for the Let's Go games will be the fact that your starter Pokemon will either be Pikachu or Eevee, and these are 2 of the most likely Pokemon that a child will find appealing. These games are the first in the core series that doesn't provide an option to turn off the EXP share, making progression through the games very easy, and easy enough to the point where your kid shouldn't have any difficulty at all. If you wanted your kids to experience the first generation of Pokemon, the Let's Go games will be your best option, because here you'll only have access to the original 151. And this was Nintendo's plan all along, to be honest. Now the Let's Go games are super unique because the gameplay here combines attributes from the core series games with Pokemon Go. The Pokemon catching mechanic in the Let's Go games is the exact same as Pokemon Go's catching mechanic, and you're able to see wild Pokemon roaming around the overworld. So if you were successful with getting your kids into playing Pokemon Go, playing the Let's Go games will be an almost seamless transition. But in these games, you can only battle other trainers and not wild Pokemon, so keep that in mind. Now when it comes to Pokemon Sword and Shield, these games are just as simplistic as the Let's Go games. Like the Let's Go games, the EXP share is permanent and the Pokemon appear in the overworld. But since Pokemon Sword and Shield are actual generational sequels, you're pretty much getting the same experience as Pokemon Sun, Moon, and X and Y, for example, except much more watered down. Pokemon Sword and Shield's new battle mechanic is known as Dynamaxx, which basically supersizes any Pokemon that uses it. It's unlikely that your children won't react ecstatically to seeing something like this, because seeing their favorite Pokemon become 100 feet tall is probably one of the most entertaining sights for a young child. Now Gigantamax is a variant of Dynamaxx that provides a select few Pokemon with a brand new form. Pikachu and Eevee, for instance, are 2 of the many Pokemon who were chosen to receive a Gigantamax form. Now similarly to Pokemon Refresh, from the Sun and Moon versions, Pokemon Sword and Shield introduces Pokemon Camp, which also enables you to interact with your Pokemon, and even cook for them. Now let's talk about the anime. Admittedly, popularity of the Pokemon anime isn't as strong as it used to be because it has little to no progression from generation to generation. Ash has been 10 years old for the past 20 plus years. He's never conquered the Pokemon League outside from the Alola League, and a lot of people feel that this instance doesn't even count, and we still don't know who Ash's father is. But unfortunately, the Pokemon anime was designed this way deliberately, and it's because of the fact that the Pokemon fan base is always changing and the anime was never meant to be taken seriously. Now, there's no character development, no plot twists or actual story here because young children don't have the mental capacity to be aware of or care about any of this. Just put yourself in a kid's shoes. When you were a young kid watching a Pokemon anime, all you cared about was seeing your favorite Pokemon battle or just show up on a TV screen in general. You probably knew every Pokerap word for word, and you probably even laughed yourself half to death every time Pikachu got startled and Thundershocked everybody. So yeah, leave your opinions on what makes a good anime completely out of introducing your kids to the Pokemon anime. And since Saturday morning cartoons and cable television are for the most part no longer a thing, the most common way to watch TV is via Hulu and Netflix. If a TV series isn't on either one of these platforms, it's possible that your kids have never seen or heard of it. But fortunately, there's a handful of Pokemon movies and seasons of the anime on Hulu and Netflix. The Pokemon TV app is also an amazing idea as well. This app is available on iOS and Android, and I recently found out that my Sony Bravia Android TV has access to this app as well. The best recommendation I can make in regards to starting your kids off with would be the Pokemon series X and Y, which partook during Generation 6. Now, I didn't realize it before, but the XY series might be my favorite one because of how amazingly put together it was. Mega Evolution was fresh on the scene at this point in time, and it seemed that everybody but Ash had access to it. But even though Ash's Pokemon couldn't Mega Evolve, his ace at the time, Greninja, had his own special form, referred to as Ash Greninja, which functioned very similarly to Mega Evolution. Now, I recommend Pokemon XY as a child's entry into the anime, because out of every era of the Pokemon anime, this one did it the best. Every time Ash Greninja stepped on the battlefield, it got real, like really real. Greninja's battles against Diantha's Gardevoir, Wolfric's Abomasnow, and Alon's Charizard are just a few of the many battles that I find myself watching on YouTube every now and then because they were done just so amazingly. Also, the illustration quality, the colors, you know what, the entire look of the Pokemon XY anime is fantastic, and there are times when it rivals the production quality of a Pokemon movie. Of course, a kid won't actually know all of this, but It's 100% normal and expected for a child to be attracted to and awe-inspired by something that looks nice. This is why I can't really recommend the original series arcs of the anime that partook in the first 2 generations, because let's be real, it's over 2 decades old, and a young child growing up in today's day and age won't really appreciate it because they'll be able to tell that it's old. If you end up finding out that doing things in generational order was successful, then that's great, but realize that children have to reach a certain age before they can truly understand and respect the classics. Now, I also recommend checking out the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon animated episodes. These animated shorts are awesome because the Pokemon actually talk, and your kids will probably be pretty excited to see their favorite Pokemon saying more than just their names. I have a link of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon playlist episodes in the description box. If your kids like stuffed animals, you'll be happy to know that it's super easy to find Pokemon plushies. Seriously, you can find them at GameStop, Best Buy, and many other places, but I've come to find out that PokemonCenter.com offers the best selection. You can shop by the size of plush you're looking for, and you can shop by region. So for instance, if your kids favor the Kalos region the most, you can simply click Kalos under shop by region, and the website will omit everything else but Kalos region Pokemon plushies. PokemonCenter.com also sells a solid selection of Pokemon apparel too. So why stop at gifting your kid with a plushie of their favorite Pokemon when they can wear it on their shirt too? Alright everybody, that does it for this one. Introducing your kids to something new is always a fun experience, but it's so much more fun when it's Pokemon. I hope that this video was helpful because I put together some of the best suggestions I could think of. Now in the comment section, tell me if you enjoy playing the Pokemon games with your little ones and how long you've been a fan of the franchise. So yeah, if you made it to the end of this video and enjoyed what you watch, do me a favor and thumb rest of that like button until it turns blue. Now if you're new to my neck of the woods, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon so you don't ever miss a video of the most elite gaming content. But with that being stated, 1LHD is over and out. Y'all take it easy.